What's up guys, SpartanCat, and in today's BattleCats video, I've compiled the most overrated unit in each rarity, going from normal to legend rare. And following the Google definition of the word overrated, quote, rated or valued too highly, end quote, every single unit on this list is good. That's just not much of a debate. I picked 6 good units, one in each category, but in my opinion, all 6 of these units are at least a little overrated, and I'm going to explain why. Before I get into the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because it helps grow our channel and it also allows me to help create BattleCats content for you guys. The first cat is going to be Dragon Cat. And throughout a lot of the game, Dragon Cat can be used. He's definitely not a bad unit, but I do feel he gets outclassed by a lot of middle range, long range units, and just uber rares in general throughout the game. Early and mid game, he's definitely useful in terms of stacking him, having good DPS, having good range, and all in all, just being a really solid attacker. But he does fall off later in the game because of units that replace him, such as long range uber rares. So if you want to use Aphrodite or something like that, she could effectively do what he does with more range and area attack. Additionally, the stats just don't always keep up because even when you get him to level 100 or whatever the case may be, he still doesn't always deliver. And units that have piercing or other long-range abilities could nullify him. But undoubtedly, in the beginning of the game and even middle game, he's quite usable. And you're going to notice that as a trend among a lot of these units because all of these units have been used at some point. If you have them, they're very good. And you know what? They have high praise for a good reason. They're all good. But I do believe that between Eraser Cat and Dragon Cat, who are probably considered the 2 best normals, it would probably be Dragon Cat that's more overrated. I can't bring myself to put Eraser Cat on the overrated list for this. And Dragon Cat, although he's good, gets very, very high praise from the BattleCats community. And I think he's a solid attacker and a solid unit. Probably a B tier unit. Still very effective, obviously. But you're going to eventually get to units like iCat, who are quite good. Or you're going to also be able to get to Can, who pretty much evaporates the enemies that you would use for an entry-level attacker like Dark Laser. And don't get me wrong, 4-star Sages, great unit. Middle game, early game, very powerful. But it does fall off late game, just like most of these units will. Just due to the circumstance, the AKU and Relic enemies that are going to outclass them and overpower them. And all in all, these units are great for starting off with, but eventually they do lose their roles. And it's no fault to them, it's just how the game works. Well, if there's one ranking I feel really confident about, it's Cyberpunk Cat. And Cyberpunk Cat, once again, could be really good. Oh, not Cyberpunk, I apologize. Cyborg. My bad. Cyborg Cat, I don't feel too apologetic for because it's quite well known that she's situational, but she's still among the most well-known cats in the entire game. Very popular, and I wouldn't even consider her the best rare. Yet she's one of the most popular cats in the entire game. And, you know, with good reason. There are times, especially in early mid-game, where she is incredible with high money drop stages. You spam her and she just does a ton of damage. And all in all, she could supply your entire team's offense for the entire game. Star Ocean, she'll always have a place in my heart. I wouldn't have been it without her. But there comes a time and a place to use her. And if you use her in stages that are tight for money, sending 3 or 4 of her out for the price of an Uber just doesn't do the job. It doesn't cut it. And all in all, having backliners, I like Mola Mola, I like Aphrodite, units like that. Cyberpunk, not Cyborg, Cyberpunk. You keep them in the back line and they definitely scave off enemies. You could have Sniper in the back, either the power-up or the cat. And all in all, there's just a lot of better ways, in my opinion, to go about with medium to long range crowd control. Chronos, another fantastic crowd controller. And all in all, there are just Ubers that you can send one of out each game, and they just do a lot better of a job than a stack of 20 Paris cats that cost 5 Ubers. A great unit in certain situations, but I believe is overrated because so many people consider Cyborg to be the best rare, and I would disagree. Next on the list is the aforementioned iCat. And this hurts to put on this list because I love him. But once again, he is a symbol of the game, but he's situational because in mixed stages, he can be quite ineffective. He can get killed before he could get freezes off. In other stages where there's long-range units or shockwaves, you have to bring in units to protect them, which isn't a bad thing necessarily, but There's some times where he's just not capable of doing what he's supposed to do due to high enemy rush power or mixed stages. But against red enemies, hands down one of the best anti-red in the game. I give him props for that. Everybody's used him, and rightfully so. He's a great anti-red unit, but he really does struggle in mixed stages, and he is a pure specialist. You really can't bring him in stages that have too much offense or too many mixed enemies. I know I'm getting at that point a lot, but it's true. You send him into those situations, and he's probably not going to get a freeze off before he gets killed. He has a pretty long recharge, so it's relatively hard to stack him, unlike some of the other units on this list. And all in all, I think he's a great specialist, but he does struggle, especially in late game when relics get thrown into most stages, or you just don't see a lot of red enemies. Or they just become so powerful that he can't get up to them and do his thing. But all in all, if we're talking about the first half of the game, easily one of the best units in the game, especially against red enemies, just because of the fact that it could absolutely evaporate an entire trait by itself. It could literally permafreeze, and that's incredible, but it's only against one trait, and he definitely falls off a bit in the later part of the game. This one makes me sad because I absolutely love him, but I do believe Shishalan is one of, if not the most overrated Ubers in the game. And it's because of how beloved he is by the Battlecast community, yet he's not even the best Uber in that draw. If you look at the Nikaluga event, many people would argue that Luffy is better just because he's more consistent, but also has a lot more potential. The problem with Shishalan is in stages with huge droves of peons, he's completely helpless. And his 100 knockbacks, although that makes him, potentially it could move him back into safety, it could also make it impossible for him to get an attack off. Because if he gets hit and knocked back every 500 health points that he takes, he might not get an attack off. He has a long backswing. He has a pretty long attack animation. So it could be really easy to disrupt his attack. But on the other hand, 100 knockbacks, it's easy for him to reposition himself, kind of like Matama in that sense. He's able to adjust. And that's also a trait that not many units do have. Some only have 2 knockbacks, 3 knockbacks, and their survivability isn't that good, and it's hard for them to stay and fight. But he kind of has the extreme end of that with 100 knockbacks where he can get juggled. Additionally, kind of going back to the point where there are spams and droves of enemies, he's pretty helpless in these situations because he's going to miss. I mean, think of pre-Awakened Bahamut Cat, Crazed Bahamut Cat. He's going to get off a huge, powerful attack, and he's probably going to miss or hit the wrong enemy. Shishalan does that all the time. But when he hits the right enemy and he has damage up, he is a force to be reckoned with. And as I also said in the beginning of the video, I love all 6 of these cats. They're fantastic. They're great. But I do think they're overrated. And as much as I love Shishalan, he just isn't as good as people make him out to be. And finally, the legend rare is going to be Miyamoto Musashi. And although he is the better of the 2 Musashis in the game, that's no doubt, he does fall off late game, and this is in large part of him not being immune to curse. He has so much damage and so much DPS. He's an absolute force to be reckoned with, and one of the most offensive powered units in the entire game. He is super powerful when he is going well. One of the best legend rares in the game too. However, the single target combined with having no immunity to curse and overall just getting overpowered by some powerful relic enemies and bosses, it's a shame because I love Musashi. Once again, one of the best legend rares in the game, one of the best units in the game, but he's just not able to soak in his potential late game. If you have him in early and middle game, it's going to be an absolute cruise. He's super powerful. Just bring in Manic Macho Legs or something, and he is going to absolutely eviscerate enemies. No doubt. His big problem, though, is in his usage itself, which is going to be powerful multi-hit, single-target attacks. And unfortunately, it just doesn't work with a lot of enemies in the stage or relic enemies. But you could navigate this by bringing him in non-relic stages or boss stages, and he will absolutely haymaker them. It's not even a comparison to most units. He does so much damage. Just make sure to utilize it in the right situations. But I do think he's overrated. But it was a tough one. The Legend Rares category was a tough one. The Uber category was a tough one. And for me, also, putting ICAT on that list was tough. But I do think that those deserve to be on that list. I'm sure there's going to be people that disagree. Please make sure to leave your thoughts down below in the comment sections. I will read every comment. And honestly, just want a good discussion on this topic because this is a hot button issue that will never not be a hot button issue. I'm basically saying these units aren't as good as they deserve to be, or they're too good and they don't deserve to be as good as they are. But make sure to let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to help our channel grow. Sparring Cat signing off. Thank you for making it this far into the video, and I'll see you in my next episode. Peace.